Hello and welcome, whatever place it is that you're tuned on to Life Signatures Radio, episode number 1319. We're going strong and we are in the middle of a series where we're talking about makeshift strategies. The idea is here that there are two types of people. There are those ones who will have an idea and they will start making the idea run in a functional way. But then there are those ones who will wait to have the bells, the whistles, the resources, the expertise, every single thing in perfection before they get started. There are those two types of people. And we've said that those ones who are waiting are going to be overtaken by those ones who are makeshifting. So we're using the makeshift strategy to be able to move ahead. Motion is currency. Growth is also currency. Those two things are the ones that you get when you're doing the makeshift, other than sitting back and waiting until everything is in place before you get started. That's what we're discussing in these episodes, in this podcast, in this series. Today we're going to look at the second thing that is a pillar of a makeshift strategy. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
Well, if we are to do a recap, yesterday we talked about one thing that is important for your makeshift strategy. We are talking about how it looks like. What are the elements of makeshift? Number one, we said it just has to be functional. That's it. It just has to be functional. And that's what you get. It doesn't have to have everything in place. It doesn't have to have been shipped from America before you get started. And we'll use an example of a podcast. You can speak into the phone without even a microphone, or your laptop without even a microphone, and you start from there. It's makeshift strategy. One day you're gonna get a studio, maybe you might not. One day you might get very nice microphones, maybe you might not. But you have to wait until those things come. You start. It's just functional. Now, when we talk about that, number two, what does a makeshift strategy looks like? We talked about this in the previous episode, before the previous one. It has to be excellent. What does a makeshift strategy looks like? It is excellent. It is functional, yes, but it is also excellent. What does that mean? It means that if you are implementing a makeshift strategy, you use the available technology, the available resources, what is there, and you make it the best. You make the best. I will never forget, ladies and gentlemen, in my earlier career, I used to teach people how to double click with the mouse, what Microsoft Windows is, what Microsoft Word, Microsoft PowerPoint, Excel, and so on and so forth is. And there was this application, it's still there actually. It's called Paint, MS Paint, where you can be able to draw graphs, not graphs really. You can be able to draw graphics using it. Now, there's a time I was taking in a student who was a graphics student. Graphics. If I talk about graphics and you're in the graphics world, you realize that there are very powerful graphic packages. Graphic packages like CorelDRAW, packages like Adobe Illustrator, maybe even Publisher, and graphic packages like Adobe Photoshop or InDesign. Now, this man, I introduced him before I could even talk about all those big hitters. I introduced him to Paint, MS Paint, just to show how, color palette looks like, how your toolbox looks like, what you can be able to do with zooming in and zooming out, and how you can be able to zoom into a detail and you just change it and so on. And I left this guy just to experiment with this. You could say that this was Makeshift because the tools available in Microsoft Paint are a far cry to what is available in Adobe Illustrator, for example. I just left this guy on MS Paint, but this guy, unbeknown to me, was a talented, gifted artist. And with this MS Paint, he came up with a very powerful photo of the lion. And people call me, my fellow tutors call me, come and see what your student is doing. He was using a makeshift strategy, but it was excellent. That is what he had. That is what he had been introduced to. But he deployed it in such a way that it was so excellent, lacking the other tools of airbrushes and so on, and all the other bells and whistles that are available in CorelDRAW or in Illustrator. He did not care about them. Maybe he didn't even know about them. But he deployed one of the most excellent pictures I've ever seen. The second pillar of a makeshift strategy is that with the technology that you have at the moment, it is still excellent. If you are to implement a makeshift strategy, you use the available technology and the available environment to do the absolute best that you can at the moment in time. The spirit behind it. You see, you know you're makeshifting, but you're not doing it with a lackadaisical, lazy attitude. You're not approaching it in a half-hearted manner because it's makeshift. No, you are approaching it with a full heart into it, your full commitment into it, the good attitude into it. Probably you do not have the funds to pay a graphic designer, but you can use a valuable platform such as Canva. But there's Canva and there is a friend of Canva to create a poster or to create a logo. And I know you at the end of the day are not supposed to do your own book cover. You're not supposed to do your own graphics if you're not a graphic designer. But we have very many makeshift strategies that are already available. Instead of waiting for things to be bells and whistles, you can use those. But when you're going to use whatever available resources are, you are doing it in an excellent manner. In other words, you try as much as you can to put your heart into it as you grow, and you can employ someone else to spruce it up later on. It's just that you're not going to sit back and wait until everything is falling into place. You might be waiting far too long. There's some people I've been consulting with, they are trying to come up with a book, and I was so excited because they already have designed what they think is going to be looking like a book cover. And I told them, yeah, that's good, that's a very good start, but they're actually guys who are better at doing what you're doing. See, these guys are not waiting for everything to fall into place. They are going ahead and they are makeshifting it. And now someone else like me can come and tell them there is a better way of doing it. But they are at least started. At least they're starting. So put excellence into it. The fact that you're doing something in a makeshift way doesn't mean you're doing it in a half-hearted way. Doesn't mean you're doing it in a dispirited way. Doesn't mean that you're doing it in a lazy way. No, you're putting everything into it. You're putting your best foot forward into it. You're making the absolute best of what you have right now, with a full heart, with a given heart, with everything that you have within you and around you right about now. That's what you do with a makeshift strategy. Believe me, later on, there could be better things. But remember, yesterday we said it's functional. Today we are saying it is excellent. What does that translate to? Motion. It is moving. It is already making you grow. It's already working. It's better than something that is in the head that has not been implemented. Well, tomorrow we're going to look at one more way in which a makeshift strategy looks like. But until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.